Hey, it's Andy Behrens with Yahoo Sports. I want to talk about 3 players who have no business being on your fantasy rosters after disappointing spring performances. I have to start with Jeff Samardzija. He was obviously a fantasy disaster last season. We don't need to revisit that. He has had an atrocious spring. 7.20 earned run average, 1.44 whip. Yes, there are strikeouts there. Yes, he's moving to a more favorable ballpark, a more favorable league. That doesn't make up for all the problems. This guy was a train wreck for fantasy owners last season. I see no signs that it's going to get a whole lot better this year. The worst thing about him, he gives you a lot of innings too, right? You're going to get 200 plus innings of terrible fantasy ratios. I'm not owning him in any leagues. I know there's some optimism out there. Let his name go by when you're in the draft room. Another player that had a little bit of sleeper appeal coming into spring training and has lost it all, for me anyway, Jonathan Villar in Milwaukee. Yes, he's going to start the season as their shortstop, but there's a prospect, Orlando Arcia, who's on the way. We're probably going to see him in June. He's going to take over at short. The problem with Villar, in a nutshell, he can't really hit. He's batting .204 in spring training. Yes, there's speed here, but he's not going to get himself on base. And if a guy doesn't get himself on base, that speed doesn't matter. You don't want this guy for fantasy hitting anywhere near the top of the order because he's going to be such a drain on your team batting average. I'm passing on Villar in all formats. A third guy we need to talk about here, and we were pretty optimistic about him a couple weeks ago, Andrew Bailey. It looked like a feel-good story early in spring training, but he has fallen on hard times. You look at his last 4 outings, he's given up 9 hits, 5 runs, only has 2 strikeouts. There are concerns all of a sudden about velocity. He is no longer in the closing discussion for Philadelphia. He absolutely does not belong on fantasy rosters.